Hey guys, going to talk to you today about some keys to creating a powerful and accurate shot. First thing we're going to talk about is creating torque in our shot. The way we create torque in our shot is we close our hips to the cage. We have our front shoulder, foot, and hip pointing at the cage. When we plant that front foot, it starts a chain reaction up our body of our knee opening, our hips coming around, our torso coming around. The last thing to come through is our stick, and we release that ball with a crack of our wrist. So creating torque is important in our shot. I like to give young kids the example of torque versus swing. If we're tapping our finger against our chest as hard as we can, that's swing. If we pull it back and snap it, that's torque. So we want to create that torque by closing our hips to the cage, planting that front foot, starting that chain reaction up our body. Another thing I like to talk to young shooters about is getting their elbows off their ribs. So if your elbows are on your ribs, it's almost impossible to move your torso without the stick moving. If your elbows are off your ribs, it's much easier. Stick can stay still. You can move your hips and your stomach. That's important because if we've got our hips closed to the cage, we're trying to create this chain reaction of our body coming around and opening up, almost like a catapult. And our elbows are touching our ribs. When we plant that front foot and start pulling our hips around, our arms are going to come around, and that's going to leave us with swing instead of torque. Another thing I like to talk to young shooters about is with big pockets nowadays. I've got it, everybody's got them. Head technology is advanced. You can do a lot more with your stick than you used to be able to. So these big windups have come into play where kids are really swinging that stick, cocking it behind their head, or pulling way back to here or way down to here. They think that's going to make them a harder shooter, when the reality is, to put this on cage, at some point, as I come around through my shot, I either have to slow my stick head down to control the ball or cradle. Either way, I've taken away the torque I created with that front foot plant when I do that. So these big windups, if you're not doing either a stick, controlling the stick head or cradling, you're losing the ball off to the right or left of the cage, depending on which way you're swinging. So all I'm looking to do is get my stick out in a comfortable spot where I can come on a clean path, whether that path be straight overhand, that path be underhand where we're leaving it low to high or low to low, or 3/4. I just want that path to be very simple. So the best example I can give of this is a lot of underhand shooters at the youth level will pull up in a cradle, drop down to their ankles, and then pull up for a low to high. And it makes this really complicated path of your stick. There's a lot of variables that can go wrong there and affect your accuracy, when all you need to do is drop that stick head low and pull on a nice clean plane. So, you know, for a hard and accurate shot, we need our elbows off our ribs. We need a reasonable windup that we can control and pull hard through that plane of our stick. And we need to create torque. The last thing we need is a comfortable base to shoot from. We want our feet about shoulder width apart. We don't want to overstride. It makes it really hard to explode those hips around towards the cage, and an understride makes it even harder. So we want a nice comfortable base, and we want our hands about hip width apart. That gives us the best ability to control the ball and have accuracy, as well as creating, you know, a pretty long fulcrum to get power from. So I'm going to shoot a couple now. I'll shoot low to high, high to low, 3/4. The only shot I'm going to avoid is a straight sidearm shot. Straight sidearm's easy to read for a goal. You can only leave it left or right. You can't leave it high to low. But you know, a straight overhand 3/4 or underhand shot, you can hit all 4 corners of the cage. With sidearm, you're limited to the left pipe and right pipe. Yeah, I'll just let a few fly. We just talked about what mechanics make up a good shot. Now we're going to talk about how to work on those mechanics. So we've got a little shooting dynamic that we've come up with here at HGR that works on all the elements of what goes into a good shot. The first one we're going to do is we're going to bring our hips open to the cage, which we never want to shoot like, but it's a nice exercise in waking up our torso. So we're going to stand away from the cage, shoot 5 righty, pick a spot, try and hit it home. 2 5 lefty, same thing. The next drill we want to do is drop into more of a natural shooting position with our hips closed to the cage, but we're going to kneel. It's going to take our lower body out of the equation. So our torso has been woken up, you know, through our chest, through our abs. Now we're going to wake up our legs a little bit, and hips especially, but we don't want our lower body below our hips getting involved in the shot. Same thing. Power and accuracy are going to go down, but it's really working on developing the obliques and snapping the hips. 5 righty, 5 lefty. Then we're going to bring that front knee up. We're going to try and bring it as straight of the line as we can without becoming uncomfortable. We want balance to be a little difficult here. This is going to work on balanced shoulders when we're coming through with our shot. So 5 righty, 5 lefty. Try not to fall over. Don't over-exert yourself forward so you're leaning forward. Underhand shooters, you shouldn't be back seating it like this. It should be a nice, comfortable, controlled swing through your shot at the cage. Last one we do is called flip grips. We start with our feet together, stick in our strong hand, exchange our hands, stays in the same stick position, but we cross our arms. As we pull back in the shooting position, we step forward. As soon as our front foot hits the ground, we come through with a shot. This is good for kids who like to overswing their shots like this. You should not be able to pull back into a shooting position rapidly and hold on to the ball. You know, you can obviously bring it back in a cradle. We want to pull back hot and snap through hot on our shot. 5 righty, 5 lefty. You work on those, probably takes about 15 minutes a day. Your shot will begin to develop power and speed quickly.